Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Book Days with Liz. I was talking with my sister the other day, and I gave her like a little book haul of some of the stuff I got. And she said that I have one of the widest ranges of genres for reading books that she's ever seen. So I thought I would go through my bookshelves and see how many different genres I have. So let's get into it so I can tell you about how many I have. To start off, I'll give you the little book haul that I gave her. So, my boyfriend went to Target and he would not let me pay for my own books. But I got 3. So these are the ones I got. So, the first one I've chose is called Willing Prey by Ali Oleander. That's kind of covered. Oleander? Something like that. Anyway, first of all, cute little cover, right? But essentially, it's about this school teacher who is drowning in student loans, and she's needs to find a good job over the summer so that she can pay them off. And so then there's this rich, kinky guy that essentially says, if you get into this spicy business agreement, quote unquote, on the back, he will pay her $30,000, right? Yeah, to spend 30 days with him for him to explore kinks, essentially. And I was like, okay, period, snatched. I got it. I'm pulled in. But it turns into more of like a primal, like she's being hunted in the woods kind of vibe. And I was like, that's enough. Caught. So I grabbed that one. It sounds really good. And then I picked up The Housemaid because I know the movie's coming out and I've never read these. And I've liked Freida McFadden's books so far. So I thought I would grab it and then read it before the movie comes out and I can like hop on the train or whatever. And the third one I got is Kenny Chesney's autobiography, I think. I'm a country music girl, and I love Kenny Chesney's music. I love his vibe, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get his book. I didn't know he wrote a book, and it has like pictures of his life and everything like that, so I think it would be really interesting to read. So this is the widespread of books I got from Target this past weekend, a week ago. So yeah, I showed that to my sister, and she's like, that is a crazy range. Like, you read such a crazy range of books. And so I counted, and it's probably a pretty liberal count, okay? I just went with, like, the different areas. I didn't do, like, the broad ones. I, like, went into, like, subcategories, I guess you could say. But I have about 15 different genres of books that I have read and, like to read. Like, there's not just, I've read one and I'm counting it. Like, these are books that are on my shelves that I enjoy these types of books that I read. Okay, so we're gonna go through them. So the first one, obviously, autobiographies, biographies of people. It's not universal. It depends. Like, I have Kenny Chesney's on my shelf. I want to read his. I've read Patrick Swayze's because my aunt gave it to me. Who else have I done? I've read, like, not Mitch Albom, what's his name? If you've seen me talk about the Tuesdays with Maury, like Maury Schwartz, like I've had some of his books on my shelf, like I do like reading these. It's just like I'm very selective in who I read about. Does that make sense? Like, I want to read what's his name? The guy who played Chandler Bing in Friends. I want to read his, and then I just saw that Cynthia Erivo, she has one. I didn't know that. I would like to read hers. That'd be interesting. So yeah, I like a good biography. Next, I have a whole stack, so hold on. This is my stack of genres. And the Kenny Chesney one. So let's go through. Second one I have is, like, nonfiction. I don't read this very much. I do enjoy a certain nonfiction for school. I did a project on Cahokia, which is, like, this ancient city in St. Louis, Missouri, or where the St. Louis meets Illinois. So I read that for a project. This was interesting. Not my favorite nonfiction, but I also read one on, like, the history of vampires. Now, again, for school, but interesting. So if there's a certain, like, nonfiction book, I'm not always going to pick it up, but I do enjoy some of them. Like, I remember when I was younger, we went to the library all the time. My mom took me and my siblings to the library all the time. And I kid you not, guys, I grabbed a book on the brain. From the library as a child, I chose to pick up a book about the brain. And thinking back, like, that's such an odd choice, but there's like a part of it that sticks with me to this day. There was a man, his name was Phineas Gage. He was working on a railroad, and he was like hammering a railroad spike in, and it hit. I guess there was like a certain like secret dynamite or something that was buried into the ground by accident, and like the spike he hit, like hit the dynamite and it exploded, and the spike went through his head, and he survived for 7 or so years after that. Like, bro lived after a spike was like this through his head. Here's a picture of him with the stake or whatever. So, like, that story of that man from that brain book that I got from the library has stuck in my head for so long. And, like, it got brought up in a college psychology class, and I was thrilled. I was like, oh my gosh, I know what this is. So there's some nonfiction books that are super interesting. And I have a couple on, like, serial killers and Ed Gein. He was, like, this, like, creepy serial killer guy in, I think, like, Wisconsin or something. So I have a couple nonfiction books that I'm genuinely find very interesting to have on my shelf. So that kind of goes along the biography, autobiography kind of vein. Next, still in the semi-real vein, we have, like, I guess it's called, like, contemporary fiction. So, like, real life scenarios that could happen, but they're not real, I think is what it's called. So I have, like, these two. In 5 years, it's about this girl who, like, you know the saying, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, she gets, like, a flash forward into the future on, like, one random day to see what her life is like in 5 years. And it's, like, a real-life kind of scenario. This is really interesting. I think I almost cried. This is a 5-star book for me, but that era. And this one kind of also fits into, like, those tragic reads, like a tragedy. Like, I have Romeo and Juliet, which I guess is technically a tragedy and a classic, but, like, this one is also very sad. Like, there's this, again, like, kind of like contemporary fiction kind of vibe. There's this man, and he's an alcoholic, and he's driving drunk, and he gets in a wreck to, like, on purpose, like, to kill himself. Like, it's like a suicide attempt. And he gets one, like, when he's knocked unconscious from the wreck, he's, like, in that middle area between life and death, and he gets one more day with his mother, who died years ago. Like, he's taking an attempt to take his life, I guess, trigger warning. And instead of, like, in between limbo, between life and death, he meets his mom. So there's, like, this tragic... Mitch Albom, like, writes a lot of sad books. The Magic Strings of Frankie Presto is also really good in the sad read, contemporary fiction vibe, but the sad books are good. I'm one of those people. I love a sad read every once in a while. So, tragedies are the vibe. Next, we have classics. I have Romeo and Juliet. I have Frankenstein. I have Hamlet. I have Wuthering Heights. I have not read this yet, but I am trying to get more into the classic reads. I kind of love reading, like, that old English, like, that very, like, I don't know, the old type of reading style, the old language. I like reading that. I think it challenges my brain and makes me think, and I like reading it out loud and, like, hearing it. So I do like reading a classic every once in a while. Also, I think I mentioned this in an Instagram reel. The Wuthering Heights movie is coming out soon, and it looks very interesting. So I have the book, and I cannot wait to read it. Still along the historical fiction route, we have Westerns. If you know me, you know I love a Louis L'Amour book, and I have a whole collection of them. I need to count and see how many I have, but I love his Westerns. Like, he did write one book, which is, like, in medieval Europe, but that was kind of like an outlier, I think. He writes a lot of, like, Western stories, and I have one of the quote from one of his books tattooed on my arm. But, oh, I have a bookmark in here. Surprise. But I love reading a Western book. I think it's so fun. And my grandpa, he said whenever he was younger, he used to read a lot of Louis L'Amour, so it has a special place in my heart as well. So I love reading a cute little Western. And sometimes they get kind of spicy and romantic, so that's fun too. Next, we have a couple poetry books. Both of these are really good. I really enjoyed both of these. This is Megan Fox's Pretty Boys Are Poisonous, and it has, like, cute little drawings. Not cute. They are cute. The drawing's very good. But it has some pictures. The artist is phenomenal in, like, the art that they do in this book. I did do some annotations in this book. I just kind of, like, underlined stanzas or statements that I thought were phenomenal. So there's this one that I highlighted. She said, she was just a woman who refused to get on all fours so an insecure man could feel like a god. I literally put a bracket and I put 5 stars. Preach. That's what I wrote down. But, so I really liked her poetry book. I thought it was fantastic, and I love Megan Fox's vibe. I think she's such an icon. But so I have that one, and then I have, Rupi Kaur. I don't know. She has the Milk and Honey, and then she has the Sun or Flowers, and another one. Where is that book? I just realized that I don't know where my copy of The Sun and Her Flowers are. But anyway, I have 2 of her poetry books, and I would like to get more. It has the same vibe as Megan Fox's with, like, the drawings and that kind of stuff. So it's a very beautiful, I really enjoyed reading The Sun and Her Flowers, and I haven't read this one yet, but I do look forward to it. So I like poetry every once in a while, but it's one of those genres that I have to be in the mood for. Like, I can't just be, like, pick it up at random and read it. I have to be in the correct mindset of, like, focusing on the poetry and trying to, like, analyze it kind of in a way for me to understand. So, but I do like reading poetry every once in a while. Next we have, like, a dark academia vibe. I haven't read this one yet, but I really, 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 really want to. I also have, a fantasy dark academia vibe book as well. I like dark academia. I used to want it to be, like, my aesthetic for, like, clothing and, like, how I dress, because I'm going to college and whatever, and I'm in the field of anthropology, so I kind of felt like it fit. But I never committed to it because creating a new wardrobe and, you know, totally redesigning yourself is expensive, and we are a college girl on a budget, so not really possible. But we have some dark academia on the shelf. We have some horror. We have this one, just because it's called The Dead, and it's kind of creepy. I think it's like a zombie kind of vibe. But we have some horror books. I do have one Stephen King book, Doom a Key. I haven't read it yet. It's in the TBR jar, because I'm doing a series about that on my Instagram. I would like to get some more Stephen King books, but honestly, it feels kind of intimidating, because he's such, like, a well-known horror author, and his thrillers and his horror stories are so good. And people talk them up so much that I'm kind of scared to break into it, and I don't know where to start. So I have the Doom a Key one. It's thick, so it's gonna take a while to get through it. But I am excited to read some of his books as well. So horror is also on the list. Along with horror, we have thrillers. I love reading a thriller. Like I said, Freddie McFadden is really good. I like Natasha Preston. This one sounds really good. I got it at, like, a used bookstore. There's, like, this serial killer that's tormenting these kids, and he like leads these kids into the woods to find bodies of the kids that he killed, and then, like, the kids that found the bodies grow up to be adults, and then the killer is still tormenting them, kind of vibe. But also, in addition to Natasha Preston and Freddie McFadden, Alex Michaelides, he wrote The Silent Patient, The Fury, The Maidens. Those books are really good. Those are his only 3 as of right now, I think. But his thrillers are phenomenal. So, I'm a sucker for a good thriller book. We have a comedy. I have not read this one yet. I got this book from Dollar Tree, so the bar's low on how it's gonna be. But I know it is supposed to be a very funny, lighthearted, comedic book. So, she's on the shelf, so she can, like, count, not count, I guess, on my list. But, comedies. We have a dark romance. I read the Twisted series. I don't really think that's like super, I don't think that counts as dark. But I have Haunting Adeline. I'm Hopping on the Train. I bought this one a month or so ago. I haven't read it yet, but we do have dark romance on the shelf, and I cannot wait to read this. I heard it's kind of crazy, so we'll see how I think of it. I don't think I did historical fiction yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I have Ophelia's Muse. This one was also quite tragic, and I read this one, I think, right after another one where somebody offed themselves, unalived themselves. But this is a good historical fiction book. I did enjoy the story. The title did not make sense until the end, and it's very sad. But I love historical fiction like Pride and Prejudice. Oh, I would die for that movie. Like, it is so freaking good. I didn't like the book as much as the movie, but the point is, historical fiction is where it's at, especially historical fiction like romances. There's multiple like historical fiction movies that are books that I would love to read, and I don't know, historical fiction has a special place in my heart. So, we love a historical fiction. And the final one I have on the list are fantasies. This is Academy of Villains. This was the one I mentioned earlier where it's like a dark academia and fantasy. But I have so many fantasy books on my shelf. If you go watch my, the book series that I haven't finished video, there are so many. I think fantasy is the most common genre in that video. I have read so many fantasy books series in my lives that I have not finished, and it's insane. So go watch that video if you're interested. But I talk about this series a lot. It's a dark academia fantasy inspired by Greek myths. It's a series. This is the first one, Academy of Villains. Second one is yellow. It's lessons in loyalty, and the third one is purple, lessons in trickery. And I'm so excited to read the third one. I'm on the ARC team, so I get the Kindle copy in advance to read it before it comes out in January, and I'm so excited. So, but yeah, that was a quick run through of all the genres on my shelves. There are some other ones that, like, I don't know what genre they would go into, that I didn't mention. I don't really know where they're at, but... Oh, also, I've also read the Hunger Games. Is that, like, since that's dystopian, I guess, is that a separate genre, or is that still considered under the umbrella of fantasy? Because I almost grabbed that one, but I feel like it counts as fantasy, but, I mean, if it's in its own genre of, like, dystopian with, like, Divergent and, like, The Maze Runner and that kind of stuff, then I guess it's different. But, yeah, I like reading a lot of shit. There's a lot of different books that I truly enjoy and find so pleasurable to read. That's not just, like, I'm not one of those where I only read romance, or I only read fantasy, or I only read this or that. Like, I read so much stuff that I actually truly enjoy. Oh! Also, under the romance realm, I like to read LGBTQ plus romances. I've read Red, White, and Royal Blue and Honey Girl. Those are both really good. I would like to continue spreading my range of reading. I definitely need to be more intentionally inclusive in my reading. I need to read a lot more books. I need to broaden my range much more and try to read more from a variety of authors, from a variety of backgrounds, about a variety of different mythologies. I would like to read, like, I know there's a series that has, that's inspired by, like, Egyptian mythology and, like, African mythology and stuff like that. And I would like to read those as well. So, really looking for expansion in my reading. Even though I already have so many genres, I would like to continue reading more. So, if you have any suggestions, comment below. Also, how many genres do you have on your shelf? Because, is this ridiculous? Is this really extensive on, like, how many genres I read? Let me know. But thanks for coming and watching my video, and seeing what I like to read. Hope this inspires you to expand your bookshelf. But thanks for coming to chat with me for however long, and I hope you have a great day. Bye, love you!